Hey everybody, this is Perch. Right now there's this Into the Spider-Verse event going on in Marvel, and you might not have completely noticed because they've had Spider-Verse alternate reality spider events a few times now. This is just the latest of which they've had Into the Gwyniverse that I believe is also going on right now. And I mean, there's a ton of Spider-Man alternate reality, multiversal, what if Spider-Man was different? And I hate it all. Generally speaking, I hate it all. It's moved from kind of a nuisance to thorough. I despise it. And I want to be incredibly clear because I am very, very consistent on this particular topic. I don't like multiple versions of characters. The Green Lantern Corps sort of gets away with it because it is a corps. It's an army, so I guess. But even there, I think it takes away some of the specialness of the character. The Nova Corps, similar to the Green Lantern Corps, okay, you can have a bunch of Novas flying around, but ideally they're distinct Novas, and you don't have like 20 of them all coming from Earth because it is supposed to be a galaxy wide group. And I was thinking about this. I remember disliking when Claremont did the Captain Britain the Captain Britain Corps, and here's Captain Britain's from all the different multiverse, way back in the 80s, 70s. I think that was 80s. Pretty sure 80s. I've disliked the concept a lot. I don't mind a one-off story where somebody gets to meet an evil version of themselves, or the kind of occasional trips to another place where somebody's like, this what would happen if I grew up evil, or that it's fine. You want to do those kind of what if alternate reality stories, that's fine. But it's being used so much, and I get it that the MCU is all over the multiversal saga, and we got to have lots of different versions of each other, and it's fine. Okay, that's where we're at right now. Okay, and the comics are clearly copying that as much as they can. So it's like we're constantly there's at this point something multiversal alternate reality constantly going on. Now, I enjoyed The Exiles. Remember that? Now, that had alternate versions of people. So what gives? Why did I like that one? Well, because it was told as the story, first of all, contained. The characters were hopping through the multiverse, and they were doing little things. You didn't have this, and it was unique at the time. There weren't 50 other versions of it going on. And that was the entire premise, was that they were trying to get, that they were pulled together to do a mission, get out. And there was something unique about it. Even I like that okay. So I guess I'm slightly inconsistent there, but mostly consistent. But the Spider Verse, it's absurd. And what's happened, and what the new excuse of the multiverse stuff is it's not an evil version of yourself or a slightly different version like they used to be. Like, hey, all the characters looked exactly the same, but this one, didn't diet as much, a little chubby. This one got a scar in his face. This one, blah blah blah. Now it's like, hey, robots can be Spider-Man, and this Muslim girl can be a Spider-Man, and here's one that has crutches because and shoots webbing out of the crutches because is handy capable. And I mean, it at this point is this absurd vehicle to be able to tell this one particular lecture at people, and that is, hey, everyone can see themselves in Spider-Man. But not everyone should see themselves in Spider. They shouldn't see the surface traits of themselves as Spider-Man. What they should see of themselves in Spider-Man is the heroism and the desire to self-sacrifice for the greater good, and to always do the right thing, even when it's hard. That's the stuff you're supposed to see in Spider-Man, not the, hey, that character has brown hair like me. That's the point. The skin color, the skin, the wrapping of the character is the least important thing to see. And I've seen, there's all these stories, people, and I'll be perfectly blunt, I don't believe any of them, quite frankly. I was walking with my Latino daughter down the aisle of Target, and she saw a female Latino Spider-Man and said, finally, there's a Spider-Man that looks like me. I don't buy it. I don't buy those stories. I've raised 2 kids. My kids have friends. I've taken the kids out for various activities. At no point has this kind of comment of, I could see, that's a Twitter thing. That's a way to kind of promote, how you feel through this mystery / invisible child. If your child wants to see, a character that looks like them in a comic book, they'd much prefer to see a original new character that looks like them, not what's this weird version of Spider-Man drawn to look like me. I'll die on that hill. I don't buy it. If you've had different experiences, more power to you. Cool. Maybe I'm just flat wrong, but I've never seen it. I don't buy it. But again, as kids, you go back 20, 30 years ago, the lessons that kids learned, and not just in comic books and movies and stories and all kinds of things, the lesson was it was the morals and the traits and the bravery and those elements that you were supposed to see yourself in. When you were in school, like imagine that you were as brave as Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't imagine that you could walk around with a funky beard and a top hat. It would look like you. That was not the lesson that was taught. The lesson was taught were the actions, and that still could be true, should be true, as opposed to, hey, we're now going to take Spider-Man and we're going to make 8 billion versions of Spider-Man to look like every single amalgamation of humanity on the planet, so people get to see themselves in the character. The only thing that does is waters down kind of the core Spider-Man, property of what Spider-Man is, and nobody cares. And we can say this because we've had Spider-Verse events for, I don't know, 10 years, and I defy you to name 10 of them. You can say, all right, there's the Peter one and there's the Mile one. That's easy. Okay, got those two. And then there's like a robot one, right? There was like a Japanese robot one, and wasn't there was like a British one, and there was a punk rock one, and one that there's a pig one, and a Nick Cage one. Sure. I mean, look, a lot of these offshoot Spider-Men, nobody knows, nobody cares about, nobody remembers because they're not memorable. Because it's taking a character, it's wrapping a new skin on it, and then when people complain about it, I don't like this. This feels like you're bastardizing the character. You immediately have your racism card ready. Oh, well, that's just what a bigot would say. No, that's what somebody who loves the character would say. I still feel like we live in backward universe when somebody says, hey, I think taking, some character that has an existing identity and just randomly changing the race on it, I don't know. That seems somewhat racist to me. It seems like the skin color is just a palette swap that you'd get in a video game. That to me feels like the more casual, disregarding way to deal with characters, in my book. But somehow that's the racist take. I don't get it. I don't think all these different versions, whether it's Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, characters should be unique. When they're unique, they have more power. And I've seen this. The bigots say that they want new original characters, but then they bitch about those too. Well, then clearly that would identify those people potentially as a race. I mean, but by the way, if you make a new original character with somebody's race and then you proceed to do nothing with it, and this is part of the problem, is if you read this stuff, it often feels super tone deaf to actual cultures and nationalities. In one of these Spider-Verse stories, there's a Muslim Spider Woman or Spider-Man, I don't know, a spider character, and she has nice hair, and then it gets electrified somehow, and it turns into a huge fro, and then there's a little joke about that. And it's like, I've been fasting all day, and now I need to say a prayer, and then I'm going to eat one of my dates because that's what people eat in those countries. They eat dates. Dates are what people eat. But then and it's like, this is taking somebody's, nationality and culture and race and kind of boiling it down to pretty, not offensive stereotypes, but definitely one-dimensional stereotypes. I mean, what? I mean, imagine a different world where you have the multiverse of Black Panther, and we go to one of the multiverse Black Panthers, and it's a white Black Panther, and the white Black Panther is like, "Hey, bro, I'm done Black Panthering, so I'm going to put on my polo shirt and listen to some Hootie and the Blowfish. Yeah, that dates me, but I don't care, bro. I, what would you say? Like, this represents white people. That what? No, nobody wants Hootie and the Blowfish. The other day we were in my family was in a restaurant and Hootie and the Blowfish comes on. And I'm like, how did this get to be a popular band on any level? White people. That's how apparently. Anyway, I just it I, I don't think this helps anyone, and I'm often bewildered by the people who will go to the mat for these characters. Nope, this is perfectly okay. We like it. This is good for society somehow to have the spider person who shoots webs out of a. I don't know. I don't even get it. And while we're on the subject, T. Franklin, I guess, is writing that story of the handy capable spider person. And do these companies not do even the basic research? I mean, there's videos of T. Franklin stoned out of her mind talking about how she wants to beat the shit out of Scott Snyder, saying basically something's going to come to him. Like, I don't know. But okay, sure, you can hire that guy. Why not? Or Ms. T. Franklin, you can. I guess. Why not? No problem. Anyway, these different versions of characters. I think it's absolutely garbage. And I think, again, I see that argument of, well, they don't want, people like Perch don't want original characters either. Try me. Try it. Just try it. See what will happen. But please, when you do it, give them something to do. They don't need to sit around doing like if your racist grandfather was trying to do a parody bit of what Muslims do in their life, it would look very, very similar to how that story was written. Like, they don't eat, and then they go and eat their Muslim food. I mean, like, that's what it would read like. You read this stuff and you cringe. And in this case, that is the appropriate use of that word because it's so it feels so I don't know, whatever. Um, please no more spider people. I don't why is this stuff selling? Really, the person at fault here is the fans. How dare you buy these comics? Stop buying them so we can stop getting. We can get them anyway. But anyway, just please enough. We've got enough spider people. You've done enough. And yes, and by the way, I saw somebody using the movie made $1 billion. It had multiple. Yeah, that's a little bit different. They took the Spider-Men, the three of them, from the movie franchises over the last several years, and they put them into one movie. It'd be like if you made a James Bond meets a multiverse, which, in fairness, nobody wants. But if you put that there, and you had all the different James Bonds meet each other, there would be like a 2-minute, like, oh, that's pretty cool. Look at all these guys hanging out, all the James Bonds in one place. That's pretty crazy. Then it would absolutely suck. But there'd be a brief moment where, people would be like, hey, look, that. I mean, obviously an impossible thing for them to do, but whatever. Very different than basically making every single possible version of a human being a Spider-Man and thinking this is a perfectly okay thing for your brand. Anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for listening.